Hello, Louis.
Hello, Samuel. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm right, thank you. Yeah, mocks have been quite exciting, but nerve-wracking. But no, they've been good. How about you?
Yeah, no, it's a busy week, and we're currently on. I think it's the fourth day of our 2 week uh, stretch of mocks.
Mm.
So it's been pretty jam packed. But
Yeah,
we're at Friday now, so it's good to look forward to the weekend.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, brilliant. Uh,
So, what are we going to be talking about today?
so today we're going to be looking at the Thought Fox, which is a poem by Ted Hughes. And it's one of his most popular poems. So yeah, we thought we'd go through that.
Mm.
Brilliant. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to the English Boys.
The show where we discuss all things literature.
I'm Samuel.
And I'm Louis, and thank you for tuning in.
Brilliant. So we thought we'd read through the poem stanza by stanza. So Lou, do you want to
Yes,
kick us off?
I imagine this midnight moment's forest. Something else is alive. Besides the clock's loneliness and this blank page where my fingers move.
Through the window I see no star. Something more near, through the deeper within darkness, is entering the loneliness.
Cold, delicately as the dark snow. A fox's nose touches twig, leaf. Two eyes serve a moment. That now and again, and now, and now.
Set neat prints into the snow, between trees, and warily a lame shadow lags by a stump, and in the hollow of a body that is bold to come.
Across clearings an eye, widening, deepening greenness, brilliantly, concentratedly, coming out its own business.
Till, with a sudden sharp, hot stink of a fox, it enters the dark hole of the head. The window is starless still, the clock ticks, the page is printed. Brilliant. So that is the Thought Fox by Ted Hughes. And yeah, we're just going to go through it stanza by stanza, talk about a bit of the background of the poem, and then finish off with some key themes and ideas. Right. So in this first stanza, we see that firstly, the person who is talking, who's writing, is the poet because they mention themselves, I. And this alliteration of midnight moment in the forest, it sort of suggests something mysterious is about, and there's sort of an anticipation. And then we see this semicolon, and that really emphasizes the anticipation of information that's about to come. And the second line states, something else is alive. We don't know what this is yet, but this adds to the mystery and to the anticipation also. Louis, any thoughts?
Well, I think one thing I kind of just took away from the first stanza is the eeriness that's established. So it shows that this thing that that the speaker's anticipating is like you were saying, mysterious, and it builds this eeriness and it's like evil and spooky. And then when it goes on, I was just going to briefly say the clock, besides the clock's loneliness. So that shows that this sort of this anticipation has built to a point where the speaker finds this clock as a personified character, and even the clock, this thing which is an inanimate object, even that's feeling lonely. So it really establishes and expands on this idea of like mystery and things out there, and it's I think that builds up. But sorry, if you want to.
No, that's brilliant. I'd also add that beside is a two. It has two meanings for the same word. So it could mean beside something, or besides, as in, carry on or continue. And then the last line of the stanza talks about Hughes, or the poet, and a blank page where his fingers move. So that could suggest writing or typing, sort of a sense of creativity.
Yeah. So then, furthermore, in the second stanza, it says, "Through the window, I see no star." And this begins to sort of establish the extended metaphor of the poem of the star acting as inspiration and ideas and a thought. So this poet or the speaker is trying to find this idea of something to write about, and that begins to be personified as a fox as we continue to read on. But at the beginning, it's seen as a star, so that shows this bright and powerful and beautiful thing in like the world is seen as an idea. So it shows how magical the idea is. But for the speaker and for the poet, they can't see that at the moment, and then that continues on to say something more, isn't it? And then again, this establishes the eeriness and the spookiness of the poem and of the first stanza, and it begins to allude to an idea is coming, so or something is coming more like, and it begins to give the reader time to think, and it just begins to allude to this idea of an idea which is slowly built up.
Yeah.
And then it goes through deeper within darkness. So one thing I think is quite cool about this is it shows the poet has to really dig deep within himself and look into the darkness of him and his soul. So through deeper within darkness, he or she's really going deep to find this idea, and it's shows that maybe the poet has like a dark past, or they're just really desperate for ideas, so they need to do this. And I've said this a lot, but it really builds this eerie picture, and then that is followed on with enjambment going straight into it enters the loneliness. So this new sort of contender, this new idea is entered into the loneliness with the clock, and it's building this. Even though it's loneliness, more ideas and more things are just building into it, and that's slowly sort of evolving into an idea, and it sort of builds this desperation for an idea and for inspiration. So is there anything more you want to add, Samuel?
That's brilliant, in-depth knowledge. Just adding on the image of the star at the beginning, I'd say that in medieval times and in romantic poetry, the star was seen literally as inspiration, with sort of star signs, and the technical term would be a muse. So Hughes is really, by saying he sees no star, although he doesn't necessarily believe that stars provide poetical inspiration for himself. He's just playing on that poetic tradition. For the first line there.
And I think just when you talked about like star signs and things, I think in I'm not entirely sure on this, but I think in Hughes's life and stuff, he had a sort of attraction for like astrology and things, and he enjoyed that sort of that thing. So that might be an allusion to that. But then I was also thinking, when you're talking about history, a lot of Hughes's poetry have sort of allusions to religion and things, because that could even suggest the star at Jesus' birth. So that could mean like the no star can mean there's no hope, because Jesus sort of acted as the hope and of like this to come as the Messiah. So that could be an allusion to that, saying how he can't see any hope, he can't see any can't see any hope, can't see any star, and he's kind of lost at the moment in this when it comes to writing.
Yeah, that's a brilliant analogy. Brilliant. So now we are on to stanza 3, and Hughes uses this oxymoron of dark snow, and this again adds to this mysterious feeling and sort of unusual nature of the forest at the moment. And then Hughes, he proceeds to talk about a fox, and the fox is said to touch twigs and leaves with its nose, like it's sniffing around, and he uses caesura when talking about this. But this is the first time in the poem that we've actually heard or read the word fox, and given the title is called The Thought Fox, you'd usually expect it to be a little bit further back in the poem, towards the beginning. Hughes has an interesting sort of relationship with the animal of a fox. When he was at Cambridge University, he was studying English literature, and he had a dream that I think a fox came into his room at night.
Yeah, and it was like
yeah,
spooky and
yeah, exactly. And he then decided to quit English literature, and he changed courses to anthropology instead. So that was the result of his dream about the fox. And we don't really know what this fox is about or what he's doing or she. And yeah, so we don't really know. But the poet then proceeds to talk about the fact that its eyes are moving around and looking around, and this repetition of now and again, now and now and now, I think provides a sense of immediacy, of curiosity, and yeah, kind of searching around. Louis, do you want to hop in on that?
I just thought when I first just now when I looked at that, I thought of when you sort of have an idea and it's or you've thought of something that you were supposed to and it's just come into your head and you're sort of elaborating on that thought, you start to sort of speed up and think and that's what I sort of thought when I was thinking of that. So this thought's come in and he has an idea to write something about it, and that's yeah, like snowballing in a sense. And that's it's that sort of tangent that you're going on when you have an idea to keep going and see it build before you lose it or
Yeah,
yeah, hope that makes sense. But that's
yeah,
sort of what I thought.
and I think those two lines with the repetition of now, it gives us the first acknowledgement that the fox is a muse, is an idea that's coming into Hughes's head. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's some good points. So get on to stanza 4. Hughes writes, sets neat prints in the snow. And a word that really stands out is prints. So that's a double entendre where it means prints as in like paw prints just sticking out in the snow, but also prints as in like writing and text. So that's quite interesting because it's about this poet writing things. So it can be like yeah, them printing words onto a page, but then also the prints in the snow. So snow then also acts as a piece of paper in a way. If you continue using this double entendre, so it's like the white snow and the white paper, and that's just really expanding upon this idea of the of this fox in the snow is an idea upon a page as it moves, it sets its neat print in the snow. I think that's just really really nice to think about, and I think that's really really good imagery. And then a enjambment, sorry, continues from that, and that can suggest either a like writing on a page, like the movements of a pen, or even just the fox moving between the trees, because then it goes on to say between the trees and rarely a lane. And then it says shadow lags by a stump, and I think what I thought when I say, I don't know about you, but when I see shadow lags, I just thought of like the shadow sort of being behind the fox. That sort of shows this this sort of unnatural idea of this fox moves and then it shadow moves behind it in like delayed.
yes,
So I think it's interesting. So in this fox is either is this idea, so it's not natural, but then it's also side of lagging. It shows us out of time and it's sort of glitching. So it's like it's an uncertain idea and it's different. And so Hughes has to sort of capture it, and the speaker has to capture it. And then it goes on to continue sort of emphasizing this idea of a body that is bold to come. So this idea that's coming is bold, and this fox is bold. So it's this big idea that is slowly making its way across the snow, across the page, and so the poet and the speaker really has to catch that and establish this as this bold idea that they found, because before they see no star, they struggled to get this idea, but now they have it. It's this bold idea that they have to harness, have to keep, and I just think that's really interesting as they personify this fox as this just really big and powerful idea that is that's unnatural, but it's spooky, and it walks across the page, and I just love it. Yeah,
it's brilliant. Yeah, I think Hughes also uses that double entendre quite a lot. We saw it at the beginning for the use of besides when talking about the clock, and then he also uses it in some of his other poems. So in I think it's the horses. When he's talking about the moors, the birds that are on the moors, they cry out, and there's a double entendre of crying as in being hurt, but also shouting out in terms of in rage or in fury, really. But yeah, brilliant points, Louis.
Okay, thank you.
Brilliant. Now we're on to stanza 5, and in this stanza we really see the fox coming closer in terms of the idea becoming more of a mature form, and it's reaching Hughes's head, and the idea is it's really developing. And we see this through the description of the fox coming into a clearing, and it's sort of like out of the dark into the light. It's come out of the dark forest and into what Hughes describes as a widening, deepening greenness. So that really emphasizes the development of the idea that he's writing for his poem. And then he states that it's brilliantly and it's concentratedly, so it really is coming to life, and Hughes is now enjoying it. And he's really backing himself when he's describing this. And this is all in the form of the fox as well. And anything you'd add, Lou?
I thought when it says across the clearing an eye, so I thought that although there is a comma differentiating an eye from across the clearing, I thought so I don't really know much to talk about this, but the idea of like a third eye being like envisioned in the forehead of like, you're just thinking really clever. I don't really know, but the idea of thinking really deeply and having this sort of wisdom and enlightenment of seeing things deeply. It says like across the clearing, comma, an eye, but if you see it as across the clearing an eye, that's a that sort of Hughes really going in depth with this idea of it being like a third eye, just to really see deeply the thought, like you were saying, of this the fox sort of establishing himself as an idea, and it really forming. So that's just kind of what I thought when I saw the word eye, and I thought that could be, I don't know if it was a deliberate illusion, but that's just kind of what I thought. And I just think that's quite interesting, having this different aspect of spirituality, because we talked about like religion partially, and then astrology, and this idea. I just thought that was quite interesting, if of an interpretation.
Brilliant. Now stanza 6. So Lou's going to take us away.
So stanza 6, final stanza of the poem, and it starts with till a sudden sharp hot stink of fox. And I think what's quite nice about this is the words like sharp, hot, and stink. They're really heavy and impactful and vivid words, and it builds this potency of the fox. So it's here now. It's been established. It's come from not existing to come through the snow to be an idea, and it's really sort of illustrated here as being here. So it's sharp, it's hot. So you can smell the fox. So it's right in the poet's mind, and it's this potent idea which has now been built, and they're going to use that. And then it says it enters a dark hole of the head, and the use of the adjective dark is sort of becoming a bit of a semantic field in the poem. So you've got words like blank and darkness and star, and that shows like emptiness, but then also sort of space in a way, like with star and things. So the idea of this darkness is this emptiness, and so the dark hole of the head is this poet's mind. They do have a just empty hole in the head where they have to establish ideas from nothing almost. So it enters this dark hole. It's come through this journey, as we've seen it being no star, then walking through the snow, setting prints, and then across the clearing line, and it's here now, and it's in the head, and basically it sort of shows that they've had this idea now, and they know how to go on from there. And then one thing that I think when I first read the poem, I thought was really interesting, and then it says the window is starless still, so it sort of circles back round to the second stanza where it writes, "I see no star." So after all this journey, all of this establishment of the fox and establishment of the idea, the window is still starless. So it's quite sad in a way, because they've gone through this whole journey really sort of yearning after an idea. They have it, but yet it's still starless, and then the clock still ticks. Is what it goes on to say. So it circles back around to the beginning, and it's quite depressing to me because they've gone through this journey, and then when it says at the beginning the clock's loneliness, and it's the poet still feels lonely even though they've had this apparition of the fox, this idea of the fox that's been shown. The window's still starless. They're still going to have to go through that struggle again to get an idea. The clock ticks. We're still back where we began, just with an idea now, and it sort of shows that that cycle of being poet, which can be quite sad, I suppose. And this may be even Hughes having a go at his job, just saying like, "This is what I feel sometimes. It's hard, but yeah." So, and then it ends with the page is printed, which I just think's the perfect way to end it. So they've gone through all of this. They say printed again. Is that double entendre, I suppose? And then the page printed, short sentence, full stop, just ends it. And I think that just really fits. So if there's anything you want to say?
Yeah. Well, no, I'd just say I really liked your point about the cyclical nature of the poem. And I definitely find this from writing poetry myself, and I'm sure you've had the same, and potentially with novels and plays as well, is after you've finished something, it almost it does feel quite empty, because it's all done, and then the process of coming up with a new idea or a new inspiration requires quite a lot of hard work, and it can be quite draining. But so I think we're gonna go over some key themes.
I think so. Just flesh on with it.
Brilliant. All right, Louis, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So I was going to start by the beginning of just looking at the format. So I was thinking about the format of the 6 stanza format, and there's no there's every single stanza is 4 lines, and it's very, very organised. So I think that could kind of suggest the sort of format of writing poet is quite like, although it's quite really creative, it's like establish this, then do this, then write this, and it's I think that could be quite interesting. Is it standing out of 6 very clear and distinguished paragraphs, or almost like processes, because that is basically what the poem's about. Is it's going, stanza 1 is like nothing there, stanza 2 something appears, stanza 3 the fox comes. So that sort of shows the the building up of the idea. And then there's also a I believe it might be an irregular rhyming pattern. So we got some which seems sort of like forced rhyme. So we got star and near, where they have a similar word structure where it looks like they should rhyme, but they don't. So that could almost suggest the unpredictability of rhyming, unpredictability of writing a poem, where it's hard as well. But then you've also got things like darkness and loneliness, where they end the same, but then the words, they still are different. But then still we've got like snow, and then now again, where it's a similar word format, but they don't directly rhyme. So that could show that you have, even if you do have an idea, it may not always work out. So that could be what that could be suggesting with this irregular rhyming pattern, the forced rhyme through it. So it's snow and now, they look like they should rhyme, but they don't. So I think I kind of gone on a bit on that point, but I think that's kind of that. I think that could be quite interesting. If you've got this idea, but then it doesn't always work, and repeated quite a way through, because there's not a set rhyme structure, but then they have that quite a way through, and I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd probably say in terms of the themes, I just really enjoyed this poem because it's, when I first read it, I read it with an A-level student here at our school, and he was just doing a few poetry lessons with me, and I was absolutely clueless about what the poem potentially could have meant, or be really focused on in depth. But the fact that Hughes has used a fox and his journey through a forest as the process of creativity, I think is massively creative and inspirational in itself, and something that takes some real genius to come up with.
Yeah, and when I first read this as well, I had no idea about the hidden meanings, because I think our teacher sort of told us to read it and just think what we thought. And the way you can have that deeper meaning that Hughes creates is really special. So it could even suggest like 2 different poems. It could be like just a poem about a fox in the snow with really crazy imagery, but then you can look deeper into them, and that really makes another dimension to the poems, which is really interesting.
Brilliant. Right, so I think that's us for this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you for listening.
Hope you enjoyed.
And yes, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.